Lowe again. The field of agriculture has its farmer in the Dell, the world of literature has its Dell publications, and the motion picture industry had the actress who highlighted so many RKO films. Join us in welcoming as our guest today, the delightful Myrna Dell. And now, here's your man of the half hour, Skippy Lowe.
Marilyn. It's not Myrna. Marilyn Dunlop. Isn't it?
Dunlap.
Yeah, tell me
Marilyn
about that.
Adele Dunlap, which the initials are MAD, which kind of suits me, but that's my real name I was born with. But when I started in show business, Earl Carroll's, at 14 or 15, because of the Board of Education, and everybody at that time told me I looked like Myrna Lowe, and I had strawberry blonde hair. And I was 14, 15, something like that. And Earl Carroll said, everybody calls you Myrna anyway, so why don't you cut off the A?
I see.
And because I went under Marilyn Adele at Earl Carroll's, because again, I didn't want the Board of Education. So he said, why don't you cut off the A and go under Myrna Dell? It's a cute name. So I said, okay. And that's how it was named.
Earl Carroll's on Sunset.
On
That's
Sunset.
where Star Search is right now. They're doing Star Search there, the old Star.
It's Aquarius.
Earl Carroll's, that's correct.
Yes.
Earl Carroll's 14.
Yes, I lied about
To
my
be
age.
an Earl Carroll gal. Wow.
Yeah, it was quite an honor in those days.
Because I worked the blackouts for Ken Murray when I was 12.
I knew Ken. Oh my God.
Yep.
Yes, we used to go over there because everything was in Hollywood then, you know, before it all moved west.
Vine, yeah.
On Vine and all the great clubs and King Cole Room and the La Bamba. No, the La Bamba's the new dance.
Yeah.
La Conga.
La Conga.
And, yeah, it was and CBS and everything was right around Sunset, Hollywood and Vine.
That's right.
So, but my God, we probably met.
We probably.
Yes, we were the same age.
I
so-
worked with Marie Wilson there.
Oh, what a great gal!
Yeah. Did you know her?
Yes, not real well, but I knew her and I loved her. As a matter of fact, when she did My Friend Irma, Cy Howard, who did the show, wanted me to do Jane in the show, and so I did a test with her. I didn't get the part. I think I was a little overweight at that time, baby fat.
How many girls in the Earl Carrolls those days?
Well, they advertised 60 of the most beautiful girls in the world. But there weren't 60. I would say maybe 35. I'm just kind of taking a wild guess.
At that time, Myrna, to be an Earl Carroll vanity girl
was
marvelous. But how? They advertised?
They advertised.
They came from all over the world, these girls,
advertised.
Right?
Somebody, a friend of my father's, I wanted to be in the show business from the time I was a little kid. And I used to go around doing everybody's act at home, and they wanted to get rid of me early. So anyway, so a friend of my father's said, you want to go into show business, the best way to do it is be seen. Now, he said, this new theater, Earl Carroll, who was the next to Ziegfeld, is the famous producer, is opening. And why don't you call it and find out? And they told me to keep my eye on the ads, and I did. And I ditched school and stole my sister's bathing suit and went and sat there and waited. And then he'd line all the girls up.
Right.
And he'd say, "You're number one. Repeat after me." And then he'd walk back and forth with his long cloak. And Mr. Carroll, we never called him Earl. And you didn't. Now, Billy Rose, you called Billy, who I worked for in George White.
That's who you did after. Right?
After.
I'm going to get back.
But not Mr. Carroll. It was always Mr. Carroll. So he'd just run down the line like this, and he'd go, number one, step out, number 8. I was 8. Thank God, that's my lucky number. And then he'd just pick, and that's how he chose you.
Billy Rose, tell me about the Bill. You went to New York.
I went to New York
with
after Earl
with
Carroll.
Earl, right.
With Earl Carroll.
With Earl Carroll.
Yeah, and then I wanted to stay in New York for a while. And so.
But you didn't like New York, though.
I loved New York.
Did you really?
I loved New York.
I thought you.
But I could stay so long and then I got homesick.
Okay.
And I've always been like that. I've lived in New York about 6 months at a time, and then I want to get home and get the wide open spaces. Although we don't have that too much anymore, right?
Right.
But Billy Rose was wonderful. And when I worked for him, he kept saying, you should be an actress. I will send you to drama school. And I said, oh, I'm not kind of interested. I was young and kind of dumb and didn't know kind of what I wanted to. But he always, when I became an actress, he used to kid me and say, see, you should have listened to me. It would have happened sooner.
But you didn't study in New York. You went.
No.
You studied
I never studied.
You never studied.
I never studied. I left.
Go ahead.
I left Earl Carroll's. One night Pam Berman came in the theater, and he was doing a picture called Ziegfeld Girl with Lana Turner, Jimmy Stewart. And he came backstage afterwards, and he asked Jean Wallace. You remember Jean Wallace?
Of course.
Married to Cornell Wilde, who was a beautiful girl. And he asked us if we'd like to be in his picture. He was looking for 12 of the most beautiful girls in the world. And so we left Earl Carroll's and went to Metro. Now I think I'm 15 and a half, right? And I lie about my age again. Jean tells her right age. She has to go to school, and I don't have to go to school. And I'd walk
Jean
by.
did go to school.
Oh, on the set. And I would say sucker and walk by her because I lied about my age.
Were you good friends with Jean Wallace?
Not good. I knew her,
Yeah.
at that time. And then I did, was at Metro for 6 months there. And but then I decided I want to be an actress. I went to use the phone one day, and they said, Myrna, you can't use the phone because that's only for principals. And I said, well, I want to use the phone. So as soon as I finish this picture, I want to be a principal. So I always wanted to be an actress anyway.
So you got signed up with MGM, and
then they let me go.
They let you go?
They let me go.
But RKO had a lot to do with Myrna Dell's life.
Well, it did. Would you kind of like to know how that started?
Yeah, I want to know.
Okay, because people are kind of interested in this. I did a lot of tests around town. I got an agent, did a lot of B pictures, which is marvelous training. I did leads
at
with
school.
At school.
Right.
That was the training I
Yes,
had.
yes.
That was the only training I had. And so I did pictures with Hoot Gibson, who could have been my grandfather, Bob Steele, Bob Livingston.
A lot of westerns,
A lot
I
of
hear
westerns,
there.
yes. And I couldn't get on a horse, and I lied. And the first day I was saying to the wrangler, which side of the horse do you get on? He got a little nervous. But anyway, so that was my training. And then I wanted to go beyond that. And so Columbia and Warner Brothers and several studios tested me, but they had me doing Joan Crawford type roles, which I wasn't suited for. So Fox wanted to test. First, Mervyn LeRoy I met at a party, and he said, I'd like to do a test of you. Call me at Metro. And I said, oh, you won't remember. It was at a big party at Errol Flynn's house, elegant party. And so I said, you won't remember me. And I knew he had discovered Lana Turner. So the latter part of the evening, right before he left, he and his wife came over and he said, Miss Dell, please call me on the set. Monday, I'd like to test you.
Yes.
So he was at Metro. So anyway, in the interim, I got a call from Fox, wanted to test me. And I had done all these lousy tests. Nobody signed me. So the test director was Lee Strasberg. And I was testing with Bill, not London.
Williams?
Bill, the fellow was married to
Robert Hill?
Maureen, the French actress Morgan.
Morgan.
Michelle Morgan.
Michelle Morgan.
Yes, Bill something. He was in This Is the Army or something.
Right.
So they were testing both of us. So I talked to Mr. Strasberg, and he said, I have an idea for you. And he pulled out a script of Double Indemnity. He said, this is what you should do. And I said, but Mr. Strasberg, I'm a nice girl. I couldn't do a terrible part. He said, yes, you could. The test was good. And I heard, because a lot of friends of mine were at the studio, I heard it was good. Now, Zanuck was out of town, and they have to let you know in 45 days. So I knew it was a good test, and I saw it. A friend of mine arranged it. So I told my agent, who was Walter Kane, who had been married to Lynn Barry, who was later with Howard Hughes. I mean, it just goes on and on. And so I said, Walter, take it to Columbia and RKO. I want to be at a smaller studio. I think I'll have a better chance. He took it to RKO, and they signed me. So when Zanuck came back, he saw the test. He said, sign her, and they said, she's already signed at RKO. So that's kind of how I started.
What was your first film at RKO then?
Oh, God. Oh, I remember it because it was a bit. and it was with Pat O'Brien. And it
Ah,
was,
the fighting.
No, I did the lead in that.
Oh, you did the lead
I
in that?
wound up doing a lead later with
okay.
Pat O'Brien.
Which one was it, Pat O'Brien?
But I can't remember. But all I said in the thing was my first line. Was man overboard, and that was my introduction.
I see.
That was, I started with the bits and then started getting larger roles and everything. I love that studio. I was there 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And
where
I
Barbara
did-
Hale started too, I think. Barbara Hale.
It was like a stock company.
It
a small
was.
group, and we all got along so well. Mitchum, Jane Greer, who's one of my best friends.
I had Jane on the
Barbara
show.
Hale. Isn't
And
she
Barbara's,
wonderful?
Yeah, they've been wonderful. They're
And
lovely.
let's see, Bob Mitchum, Bill Williams, Barbara Hale. But it was like we just, we were all so close. It was a small lot. It was great.
I got to know about Judy Garland. You did a movie with her. You did several movies with Judy.
Yeah, but I was a showgirl. But she was darling to me. And once I was doing, I was just kind of a showgirl.
Lily Marlene, the Lily Marlene thing, was that?
Lily Mars
Lily
and
Mars, you mean, yeah.
Ziegfeld Girl, of course.
Right.
And we had one thing where she was singing, and I was right next to her, a group of showgirls.
Uh-huh.
And my shoulder strap kind of fell down, and she was real cute. She's where you try to steal this scene. She was darling. I never knew her well, though. I knew Sid, who she had been married to, but I didn't know Judy well.
Hollywood. God darn, looking back, Myrna, looking back, you've been here a long time. You grew up here.
I was born here.
Yeah, born
Yeah,
here.
born here,
And got into the business at 12. I did too, 12 years old.
Isn't that-
And
that's
it's just that I
coincidence.
look at Hollywood Boulevard today. It's just
Ticky-tacky.
incredible.
Yeah,
Incredible.
I feel sorry for people who come from out of town and they expect this beautiful Hollywood. Fortunately, they're spending millions to do it, but that could be maybe not in my lifetime, But it was so wonderful in the 40s because everything, as we discussed earlier, was...
30 Seconds Over Tokyo. Tell me about that.
So I called Mervyn LeRoy.
Right.
I said, Fox wants to test me. He said, go ahead, because I have to do 30 Seconds Over Tokyo.
Right.
And we'll test you after. He said, by the way, would you like to do a little something in the show? And I said, marvelous. So I went, this is before I signed at Archaeology. So I went and worked with Phyllis Thaxter's first picture, Darling
Love her.
Gal.
Love her.
Lovely,
Great
lovely.
actress, too.
And that was a fun thing. So he had me do a couple of little things in it, and then after I finished that, I signed at Archaeology.
But the papers came out and said, hey, there's another Mae West. They look at you on film and they say, oh, there, Myrna Dell, another Mae West. Tell me about that, Myrna. How did you feel about that?
It's like it's like my motor is running at times, but I kind of move around a lot. I've got a lot of energy.
Is that what it is?
So I do a scene, and I'd be kind of waiting,
just-
and my hip would start rolling, and directors would say, Myrna, you're doing another. And I wasn't even aware, and I think I still do it. You can't see my hips now, but I think I'm doing it without standing up. But so that's where it's kind of started. And I got to know her later.
Did you really?
Yes.
Tell me about
can I tell you kind of an ad? I now distribute my own memorabilia.
Yes.
And I've got a fabulous response. I get letters from all over the world. And luckily I kept all my pictures in trunk, because a lot of actresses can't do it because they didn't keep their
You
pictures.
kept all your pictures?
All of them. I had them in trunks. They were in stores. They were in my sister's, every place.
I love it.
And then the Academy asked me for all my pictures and papers and things at the University of Wyoming. And I said, oh, my God, I can't get into all those trunks. I haven't been in the trunks 35 years. So I said, I'll let my daughter do it when I leave. And if I had sent them out, I wouldn't be able to do my memorabilia now. So there's a reason for everything.
Yes.
So to make a long story short, I've been doing fabulous in this and distributing, and I get beautiful letters from all over the world. Now I'm at a party. Oh God, I don't know how many years ago it was, and I finally met Mae West, and she was darling. She said, "Oh, you're the one that I hear is the young Mae West." And I said, well, I'm really not trying to copy you. And I said, I don't think that's my claim to fame. But anyway, so we talked and this and that. She was talking about her work and this and that. She said, no, I'm flattered that they say that now that I meet you. So it was a lot of people down in Malibu, and we all kind of mingle. And the last thing she said to me before she left, she came over and she said, by the way, dear, remember one thing. Always keep your memorabilia, because one day it may keep you. And so here it is.
There it is.
Yes.
I love it.
Isn't it wonderful?
Yeah, Earl
That's
Flynn. I got to know about it. Earl Flynn.
Well,
Drop that
okay,
name.
I never dated him, but I knew Errol from the time I was in Earl Carroll's.
Right.
And the only parties I was ever invited to were the really chic. He gave, I'm sure he had the I don't know what to call them, the low-key parties. But darn it, I was never invited. But I only went to the elegant parties. And he was the most handsome man I've ever seen in my life. And just such a gentleman and a fabulous host. Like when I was talking about meeting Mervyn and Kitty Leroy
Yes.
at the party. And I mean, just all the top people were there. They were elegant parties. I found him to be just darling. And the last time I saw him, it's funny, I was driving over the hill and I passed where the old Garden of Allah was, where all the writers stayed.
Right,
and the
right.
last time, it's funny you mentioned that, because the last time I saw Errol Flynn was right before he died. He was going with that Beverly girl, the young
Beverly
girl.
Adler.
Yeah, and the drinking showed on him.
Beverly Adler.
And he screamed Myrna. I was over visiting
He screamed?
somebody. He screamed Myrna. And I turned around because he had been living out of the country. And he said, "My God," and we, embraced and everything. And he said, "Do you know something? We're going to do a picture together." I said, "You're kidding." And he said, "No, they're talking to your agent." And the picture never developed. I never saw him again. But he didn't look like the same man.
No, some of the star men that used to hang backstage, there must have been
At
a
Earl
lot
Carroll's?
at Earl Carroll's. There must have been Johnny's backstage there. Come
Well,
on.
I don't know
Can
why.
you share some?
I'm trying
Big
to.
stars. I mean, big Hollywood stars.
I can't remember. I remember Forrest Tucker, Wayne Morris, Prince Michael Romanoff before he was a prince,
Right.
and who I adored. I love Michael.
What made you love Mike Romanoff?
Because I think because he liked me and I made him laugh. Anybody
they
that
say-
likes you kind of like.
Sense of humor.
And then
Yeah.
I later got to know him as an actress, and he was always nice to me. And I liked him.
So they did have a lot of stage Johnnies at the Darwin.
I don't recall. I remember receiving flowers from a boy 13.
No diamonds,
saying
no
to
rings,
the beautiful.
no.
Oh no,
nothing like that.
No, nothing like that. And also, I was very well protected because of my age. You see, my family would pick me up.
That's right.
And I wasn't allowed to go out front or anything, so I was kind of sheltered.
I see.
And I was kind of sheltered.
You worked with Barbara Hale and Robert Young in a wonderful picture I adore.
Lady Luck.
Lady Luck.
Yes.
Tell me about Robert
Yes.
Young and Barbara Hale.
Well, Barbara, I know.
I love.
Barbara's a darling, vivacious gal.
Midwest
and-
lady.
Yes, a terrific gal. I wasn't as close to her as I was to Jane Greer or some of the others, but Barbara was always bubbly and darling and beautiful.
Yes.
And beautiful. I worked with Bob in that picture, not with Barbara.
I see. Your scenes. were- yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I see.
But Mitchum, of course, is my favorite. I mean, he
Robin
is just,
Mitchum?
yes.
Tell me, like what?
Well, he's just such a nifty, down-to-earth guy, and there's no bull about Bob, and he likes you or he doesn't like you. I mean, he's just very down-to-earth. And
You were here at the time when he got picked up and put in jail for that marijuana
Oh
situation?
my God, yes! I went up to see him at the Honor Farm.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah, my stand-in and I went up. My stand-in worked for Jane Greer and myself.
Right.
And when Bob was arrested, I called Bridie Foy, who was a producer at Warner Brothers.
Right.
And the scandal was on the front page. Where now, everybody. Well, I mean,
They
not
thought
every-
Hollywood thought that was
Oh
the
yeah, it was
finish
the end
of his
the
career.
world. So Bob was a friend of somebody. I mean, Bridie Foy was. And anyway, Bob was sent to the Honor Farm. So I don't know why Jane Greer didn't go, but Marjorie and I went up to see him, and he's just I'd go to see him any place. He's darling.
You never dated when you were making your movies, though.
Never, ever. I was in
Never?
bed by 8:30 every night. No, I was very serious.
Never date.
And we, in those days, you worked 6 days a week.
Right.
And Sunday, you'd spend it in bed, exhausted. I
Knocked
mean,
out.
just, yes, absolutely. So, I mean,
you
they
did-
have it easy now.
So when you didn't go out,
But when I wasn't working, I went out a lot because young people went out a lot. Nowadays, they seem to go in groups or they don't date as much. But at that time, you'd wear the cocktail dress. And I think that's much nicer than jeans all the time.
I
think
agree.
Men like to see ladies in dresses.
Yeah.
And, but the only thing I didn't like is that every time you went out with anybody, it was in the paper. So
It did get in the paper.
oh God, yes. I mean, no matter
Same as
who-
today.
Well, it
So-
doesn't. They don't have those columnists though, like Parsons and Edith Gwynn, and who used to, you know,
Yeah.
I started to say Jimmy Stewart, but they don't have the columnists
Ada
that
Hopper and
report
all
it.
these wonderful
Yeah.
people. They were wonderful.
Yeah,
though.
but people would read that and they think, "My God, she's going." But they were, you know, friends. You
Do you
weren't
think those
sleeping with
people, those Hedda Hoppers and Luella Parsons, they made a lot of stars and they could tear them down, don't you think?
They had a little too much power.
They had
I
too
think.
much power.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Shouldn't get that much power, should
I don't
they?
think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think it could happen again.
Robin Mitchum, I remember the headlines when he got picked up for a little marijuana cigarette, and they
That
just
was
blew it.
awful. Yeah,
That
it was.
was
It
really
was like
ridiculous.
yes, absolutely. But at that time, you
But
see, yes.
you know what happened? His career kept bigger and bigger. It got
Yes.
bigger and bigger.
Yes.
Why do you think that happened?
Well, you know, I'll
that
tell you,
time.
I think at any time they will forgive a roue like Errol Flynn, okay, who supposedly seduced these two girls or raped them or whatever. They will forgive a Robert Mitchum, but they will never forgive Ted Kennedy for being a coward.
Why?
Because he's not an honorable man. He's a coward. He ran at the time of, you know, but they will forgive a roue. As a matter of fact, it makes him more attractive. Or a guy like Bob was smoking a little pot, which I guess a lot of people, you know, still do.
I don't
But,
think he was a coward. I think he just didn't.
Ted Kennedy?
Ted Kennedy didn't know what happened at the moment. He didn't.
but-
we don't really know
well,
the story.
I shouldn't say he's a coward. It
I-
comes
I
across
think-
that he chickened out.
I think he's a great man today. I really do.
I think he
really,
has more stature now.
Today,
but
yeah.
I'm talking about not what he is, but how it looked.
I understand how it looked.
This is
the press had a lot to do with that.
Oh,
Myrna,
absolutely.
they twist things around.
Absolutely.
They're calling me
but,
right
but
now.
you asked the
Twist.
question but they will forgive somebody that sleeps with everybody and gets into trouble, but not where it's made to look that you chickened out or you know you weren't
Press
doing the
doesn't
noble
like
thing.
good things about people. They only want.
And you know, if you're in show business or you're in politics,
Yeah.
I mean, you're open. They can give it to you,
Yeah,
you know, one way or the other.
it's true.
And one way or the other.
Myrna Dell loves to dance. Come on, tell me.
What would you like me to do? A
No,
little dance
but I
from
hear you.
several pictures
I hear
I'd like
you-
to have been in.
I hear.
What?
Yes, tell me. But you got great legs. Great.
Oh, thank you very
I mean,
much.
those are dancing legs, my darling.
Oh, thank you. Well, I love
That's
to
Earl
dance.
Carroll legs. Earl Carroll. Tell me, but dancing. You love to dance.
Yes, yes, I do.
But you didn't go dancing betwing your movies, though. Only when you
Oh,
were laid
all
off.
the time I
Did
went
you?
dancing.
Yeah, where?
Oh my
Where did you
God,
go? What is it?
Macombo and Ciro's, mainly Macombo.
Why Macombo mostly?
Because Charlie Morrison, who owned it, was a friend of mine, and it was a prettier room. Even though Herman Hover was my boss at Earl Carroll's, he was Earl Carroll's business manager, and he opened. And I liked Herman Hover, but I liked the room of
I did
Macombo
too. I did
better.
too.
And there was a certain group that went to Ciro's and LaRue, and there was a certain group that went to Romanoff restaurants.
Trocadero.
And that was before my time.
yeah.
Thank God. Something was.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Something has to be. The
Ciro's.
horse and buggy too, I think. Well, why is my horse outside?
Did you see?
But what?
Did you see Eartha Kitt when she was at Macombo? When she
Oh God, yes.
Tell
She
me
was-
about-
Well, I just think she's fabulous. I think she's a great talent.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
is.
she's really unique and unusual.
They used to have big stars there, didn't they?
Yes, yes.
What was it like an evening going to Macombo? Describe it for our audiences who have never been to Macombo in the
Well,
40s.
I'm not very good
mean-
at describing it.
I mean,
but,
memos used to pull up, and it's not like Nikki Blair's. It's just didn't have the tourist going
No,
in.
no,
Tourists never went in.
No, it was like you knew everybody in the room, and it was just like one. And the waiters were wonderful, and during the war, the girl that
Yes,
was a
during-
cigarette girl would give me all these cigarettes. We'd hide them in a napkin, and then I'd walk out with them.
I love it.
And Charlie Morrison set the atmosphere because he was a wonderful guy that owned it.
Personality.
And he had top acts in there. And it would I would go because I've never drank too much and just dance all night long. And then Monday nights they used to have Charleston night.
Uh-huh.
And Milton Berle and I won first prize one night.
Uh-huh.
And so that was kind
Monday
of
nights
fun.
were Charleston night. huh?
Charleston night.
And
And
what-
that Charleston was my
Yeah.
mother's time, not
Uh-huh.
mine.
Uh-huh.
But I learned it, and it was really fun.
They had a Monday night showcase type
Monday
of.
night, yes.
I think it's funny.
And then they
yeah.
had the Firehouse 5+2, which was a group, and they had the big fire engine outside, and everybody kind of went. It was really fun.
You
And,
work with Johnny Weissmiller.
Oh, I loved him.
Tell me, Johnny Weissmiller, the greatest swimmer.
Johnny Weissmiller was very. I did a picture called Jungle Jim at Columbia with him, and God, I always tell this. I was telling this story at a film festival I was at last year, and because they were asking me the same thing.
Right.
There was Dennis. I forget the actor who played Tarzan. Again, they were talking about the
Yeah.
chipmunk and everything, and I just happened to mention that Johnny Weissmiller told me. That of all the actresses that had worked with the chipmunk, the chipmunk was more attracted to me than any of them. So that's my claim to fame.
I love it.
What do you call it? Is it a chipmunk? Not a chipmunk. That's a little
I don't-
thing.
yeah, yeah.
What do you call it? Chimpanzee.
Chimpanzee,
Yeah, the
yeah,
big thing.
yeah.
God, he just followed me around, would hug me, and oh God, it was wonderful. So, so
That's
I think
funny.
he liked. But Johnny was a sweet guy. Very, very sweet, and you know he was maturing when I did the.
Did he do all his
picture
own
with him.
stunts?
No, not
didn't.
then.
No.
No. And Johnny, but what a nice gentleman he was.
But you worked with the two brothers, Steve Brody, which I love.
Oh, I love Steve
and,
Brody.
And Lawrence Turney.
Oh my
My
God!
God, Lawrence Turney. I just saw Lawrence. He is.
Tell
is
him
so,
I said
he
hello.
is so
I love
crazy.
him. He used to
so
scare me to death.
Scares me too.
Yeah, he used to go, God damn it, he'd come over and
scares
rehearse.
me.
I did 2 pictures with him, and a good actor and a nice guy.
Very good, yeah.
Very nice guy. And Scott, I loved
Scott,
dearly.
isn't
and I
he-
used to see him at the hospital right
Scott
before he
is
died.
wonderful. Did
yeah.
you,
oh,
did
I
you
used to
go
go out
visit him?
there and see him. Oh,
Oh,
sure.
at the home, was
and
it?
I'd take him balloons that said Scott Brady, the world's most famous movie star, and he had it,
that's so nice
up on
of
the
you.
room. And
You're doing some very nice things for a lot of people, I understand, right now.
Well, I like to. I like to.
You're doing things for the AIDS thing, I understand you're
yes,
doing.
yes.
And you're keeping yourself busy.
Yes, well, I'm
And
wriing a book.
You are?
Would you like? Yes,
Yes, I would
and
like to-
I just sent it to the publishers, a proposal, and to 23 publishers, April 23rd, because I wanted to get it in before Mercury went
Right.
retrograde. Do you
oh,
understand those things?
are you an astrologist?
Oh, absolutely. And I know you're a Gemini, and I have it rising. That's why we have great
I'm a
communication.
Gemini. You don't know which one you're talking to.
I bet. Can I even tell you? Let me guess your birthday, June 6th. I bet.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
See, I'm a
right.
little psychic too. That'll be $25 for the reading.
You're lovely.
Anyhow, the first guess that you have to pay. But what was I? You were asking about?
I was asking
my
you-
book.
Book, yes.
Okay, and it's called Try to Forget Me. I sent it out, and I just got notice from Little Brown and Company, and they said we'd be very happy to consider your book, and we have 2 more chapters.
Great.
Now it's not a kiss and tell book.
What is it?
Well, I've never been kissed, so I have nothing to tell in that department. Isn't that sad?
But it's got to be about
Isn't
Hollywood,
that
though,
sad?
isn't it?
What it is I wish the crew would laugh if you're not going. But thank you very
laughing.
much. Okay, it's not a kiss and tell, as I said. It's going to be funny anecdotes of various stars, and because I know everybody from in the things and funny stories that have happened involving me.
Right.
And we go from Joseph Kennedy to Charles Chaplin to Clark Gable to Tyrell Power.
That's
My
great.
list is. So anyway, they said they'd be happy to consider it when I sent 2 more chapters. So that's what I'm working. And did I tell you the title?
No.
Try to Forget Me. Do you like that?
I like that. That's great.
Yeah.
I want one funny note from Tyrone Power.
One what?
One thing from Tyrone Power which you really remembered. Tyrone Power.
About Tyrone
Yeah,
Power?
my
Okay, I've got it.
favorite.
I've got it. The first time, there's a story which you'll have to read my book to get.
Yeah.
First time I vaguely met Ty Powers with Howard Hughes and Chasen's one night. I was
Right.
with Jimmy Stewart, and that's the first time. Then the next time I saw him was at a dinner party in Malibu that Anatole Litvak,
Yes.
famous director, gave. He and David Niven and Arlene Dahl and I were at one table. And I met him, and he was so gorgeous. Oh, my God, he was so good looking.
Yeah.
I mean, he was at his prime, and he was going with Linda Christian at that time. They weren't married. And so when I started talking to him, before I learned that we were also seated next to each other, I had fever blisters that night, which I get if I get too much sun. I get a few little fever blisters. And I said, oh, God, I almost didn't come in. You know, when you're young, you think everybody's staring at your mouth.
Right.
Well, nobody even pays any attention. Like I'm running this time, nobody pays any attention. So he said, oh, it doesn't show in this. So now we're sitting at the little table, David, who is delightful, and Arlene Dahl, who's beautiful and very bright, and Ty. And we're all talking about different things and laughing and scratching. And finally, Ty turns to Arlene Dahl. And